This all came from an area that's, what, 10 feet by 10 feet?
Roughly, yes.
Absolutely unreal. And this wasn't even behind the ham house, which is an older building, 1816 it dates to. That's next door. This is his property. So you could just imagine the amount of stuff that he pulled out of next door here. But we're going to do a little bit of metal detecting in the backyard here and see what we can find. There's a few other actually pieces in here.
Yeah, there's a good example of a maker's mark there. It's from England.
Wow. Eric, actually, in the ham house, there's a lot of pottery, a lot of bits of things. He has painstakingly put a lot of it together. He's actually recreated some old pots and stuff like that from back in the day, which I'm going to show you guys on another video, but absolutely awesome.
These two locks,
yep.
This came, actually no, this lock came from one of the holes back behind my garage. Right. But all this here, except for my glasses, of course, came from this one area.
Just a small area. This is a little bit of a map where we are. It's no secret, obviously. This little piece down here, this is the ham house. That's that yellowish mustardy type building that you guys can see that I showed you at the beginning of the video. This house right here, this was the store. We are going to detect a little bit in the front here. This is actually his backyard. His house sits about right here right now. So where this store is, all around here is his backyard. We are going to detect up here, and on a later video, there's a really old house down here. What's
that's the actual Lasher house.
The Lasher house is on the waterfront.
Yes, and then they own the Lasher store, as you would indicate.
Right in here.
Yeah.
So we have permission to search all in this area as well. Actually, we have permission to do all here, all around the back, and right around Eric's place right here. A bit of a fork here too. Was this just over here as well?
It was in this patch of ground here, but that's a more modern fork.
It's heavy.
In the old days, everything was silver plated unless you were very rich.
Right.
And there's maker's marks on it.
Yeah, I see that. It's nice.
The old ones had either 2 or 3 things on the end of the fork.
Right.
This is a more modern one.
It's got the 4. This item here, me and Eric were looking at this. We're a little unclear of exactly what it said or what it was for. So if any of you guys watching the video have any idea what this is or can give us any more information, let us know. But we're a little taken back for this one.
Yeah, it's silver plated. That's the interesting thing.
Yeah, it's got some weight to it as well. There's a little debuckle. That's pretty cool. This one here, this was a nail that Eric pointed out. What was the top of it called?
Okay, this is an early 1800s, what they call a rose head nail. Mm-hmm. And they were manufactured by a blacksmith individually. And so they were actually pounded into a certain shape, and at the end of the process, they would strike it 5 or 6 times, giving it that rose head look in order to have an area to pound it into the wood. And you can date a house with one of these because early 1800s, before they started making more mass-produced cut nails and whatnot.
A little bit of another nail there too. That's another, you said a rose head as well, right?
Yeah.
I think you showed this to me the last time I was here.
Now, because these iron nails weren't as tempered as the nails these days, they used to build with a lot of oak. The ham house, all the structures, basically oak,
right?
White oak, and when it hits a knot, it literally bends and goes around the knot because it's so hard. And this is why,
and that's why it's like that.
I've seen many of them like that.
That's cool. Okay, bullet casings. That's pretty cool. A little bit of a button here. It doesn't look like there's really anything on the front, but the shank's still intact.
That's late 1800s because the older ones were flat, actually.
Like a flat button.
Yeah.
This is a little concave. Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, this is a button I found across the road at the Fairfield house.
Yep.
And a reenactor ironically lost it off his uniform, and I
right. You can see the difference in the shank. The shank is not, it's more manufactured.
But that's typical of 1812, 1800 era buttons.
Right.
But it's
perfectly flat. Yeah, there's one of the flat ones. And then this one here, you can see.
That would be...
This is a little bit more concave.
Yeah, that's late 1800s.
Yeah, it's so delicate and so light, I'm surprised the shank's still standing.
Well, yeah, when you're lucky if the shank's still on them, really.
Wow. A bit of a spoon there, as you guys can see. Unfortunately, it's in 2 pieces. This is probably just copper or something like that. The glass, too. This glass is really, really cool. It's giving off a little bit of a rainbow effect. What's the deal with that?
Well, Back in the 1800s, they used to manufacture glass with magnesium in it. Mm-hmm. And this was, when it was thrown away, the magnesium was put in the glass, first of all, to give it clarity so you could see through it.
Yeah.
But this is what happens when you put it leave it in the sun for years. And then suddenly it has this opal-like effect.
That's cool.
And I found a lot of it. A lot of the window panes in the early days were small, about this square.
Like, yeah, 6 by 6, maybe something like that.
Yeah. And they'd break, and they made them small that way because they would only have to change one little pane rather than one big pane.
The whole thing.
Yeah,
wow.
but they would end up doing that as well, and I found a lot of it.
Cool. Now this is one of the nicer finds that I've seen. This is a collapsible drinking vessel, I'm presuming, right?
Yes,
any date on this?
I have to do some more research on it, but it's obviously meant for traveling because it would collapse in itself.
Right.
And they were made like this in turn of the century, early 1900s.
Yeah.
But a gentleman's travel cup, or even if you're in the military, you wanted something compact, you can put in a bag or something.
Some of these other things too you have are awesome. Look at this thing right here. If you guys saw this during the course of the video here, this is a candlestick holder you mentioned, right?
Yeah.
That's an old candlestick holder there. That's really cool. What is this, a dog or something like that?
No, it looks like a goat or a sheep. And this little guy here has got a basket full of grapes.
Grapes, yeah.
And so they're both eating the grapes, but actually that's where the candlestick would go in. The bottom, I couldn't find the bottom, obviously, but that's maybe why it was discarded, because it...
yeah, wow, this is really cool,
I believe it's lead.
Wow, this is what history's all about right here. It's about saving this stuff and admiring it. All this stuff's going to be donated. People need to see this stuff. There's no point sticking it in the basement in a box. So that's what's really good about the work that Eric's doing here, is everything he finds, he donates. There's a museum next door. He's donated a ton of stuff there. The ham house as well. It used to be an old store and an old tavern, I heard back in the day. And a lot of the stuff that he found there is going to be donated. And I think they're going to display a lot of the stuff too. So that's pretty cool. That's a really nice artifact there, Eric.
It's beautiful, actually. It's too bad I couldn't find the rest of it. But
yeah, I know, eh? Wow.
And this is kind of ironic. S for lasher. I wish I could have found some more of
the rest of it?
Yeah.
It's an old S, that's for sure.
This must have been on the store, I think.
Wow.
But I didn't
that's
find
cool.
any more.
No more letters, eh?
No.
Look at these locks.
This is very old.
Wow.
That's a very old one.
Look at that. You know what? As big as it is, it's not one of the heaviest locks I've held. But, man, that's a cool lock.
You see the key broke. And
inside it?
Yeah, and you can see this has been bent and broken out.
Yeah.
So they had to break the lock.
Wow, that's an awesome artifact there. Look at this one, too. This one obviously is not as old as that one is.
No.
This is brass. This was found right here, too, right?
Yeah, that was in the hole.
Cool.
In the same area here.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And he's got a piece of silver.
Oh,
that's cool. Yeah. He actually pulled a fish scale out from this this debris as well. 1880 fish scale. They're so tiny and so thin. What a beautiful piece of silver. That's Queen Victoria. So, as I mentioned, we're going to detect around here a little bit more. I've bought the small 6x8 SEF coil, and I got the Stealth X12 as well. So I'm going to kick around here. We're going to see if we can get some more stuff. Hopefully we can get some stuff that's not too deep, but that's a nice piece of silver. And you got some really nice thick glass there.
That's either a rum or whiskey bottle.
That's a thick piece of glass.
I found a lot of them in the basement of the ham house when it was a tavern back in the 1830s.
Wow.
And I found a lot of it. Looks like it was all in one place. Like someone was actually literally sitting on the stairs,
just drinking away,
and then throwing them against the wall.
Oh yes, you got a clay marble.
They're
sweet.
You don't see these very often.
No, you don't.
And I found about maybe a dozen of them over at the ham house.
Really?
But that's the only
inside or outside around the foundation?
Outside, basically outside in the back.
Wow. I posted a picture on the Digging for Life Facebook page. There's a really small one that I found. You can't do live digs really on these. You just have to stumble upon them because you cannot detect them with a metal detector. But I have only one. I've only found one of these, and it's a little bit smaller than this one. But man, that's nice.
They're rare.
These are original marbles. You've done some awesome work here, man.
Yeah, and I really admire your what you're doing on YouTube. I've seen a number of your videos, and it's an honor to have you here.
Well, we just dug this up. Eric had a look at it. This came up really good on my E-track. It was a high signal, but it was coming up as a large target, but we're pretty much digging anything here. Almost looks like a little bit of a bell. Maybe used in the store at one time, maybe on the wall.
Yeah, kind of a doorbell maybe.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's kind of, when you find relics like this just in open fields, you often wonder what they are, but knowing where we are, and there used to be an old store here, you can almost reference what you're finding to something you'd find in a store or something like that. Well, that's a cool little relic. Well, just coming along against the fence line, got another mid-tone right down there. It looks like a little bit of a button or something right there. Oh, no, it's not a button, it's hollow. It looks like just a small little copper ring for something. Yeah, it looks like it might have some slight threading on the inside. Could be for a watch face or something like that. But it's a nice little score. That little coil's serving pretty good right now. Eric mentioned in the backyard here, there is also a lot of debris mixed in, so I was debating whether to use the large coil or the small one. I like to maximize my depth, but at the same time, I don't want to pick up a ton of iron and trash in with the good signals. So I'm using that 6x8, and on the E-track, I can pretty much crank the sensitivity to full. That's going to maximize my depth with that small coil. I'm getting really no chatter, but that's a nice little score, whatever it is. Let's keep moving. Hey, puppy. Well, there's the other house we have permission to search. This grass area right in here, as you guys can see, this was in the map. It was showing there was nothing here. So I'm just going along here, along the side towards the road. Got a good sounding signal. It was in the hole. I've dug it out. And it's a spigot. It's an old one. I've only found a couple of these over the years of detecting. But that's a nice little recovery right there. A nice little bit of a relic. That's pretty cool. So let's see if we get some coins. Eric's a type of detectorist. He likes to focus in one area. And since it's his backyard, he's doing a little bit more of an in-depth search here. He's digging down a little further, and he's coming into a lot of debris and stuff like that in the holes he's digging. So that's what he's doing. I'm going along, seeing if I can find any good signals within the first 8 inches or so. And anything deeper than that, I'm actually just flagging. He can come along after and dig a little bit deeper. But anyway, that's a nice little relic.